Hey, what's up, guys? So I am currently getting my carpets cleaned, which is why I have the mask on. Our dog threw up on the carpet. What you're about to see is an interview from a woman called Mariza. She has a podcast show, and it's called Chisme Cheladas. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because I'm a white boy. So anyway, I'll link you to it down below. Let me know what you think of the interview. Let me know what else you would like me to put on this channel. Let me know how you're doing. And thanks for watching.
So, first off, thank you so much for giving me your time and being willing to give your time to an absolute stranger. Okay, let's
Oh,
just be
no
honest.
problem. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because I know like I reached out to you, I reached out to a handful of other people, and you're like one of like 15 people that like responded.
Well, I know, I know what that feels like, and I'm also I'm not that far from it myself. I mean, I have a little bit of a following, but not a ton. So I know what that feels like
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
just be
So,
starting off. Everybody's got to start somewhere, though. So
yes, thank you so much for helping me feed this passion, this fire.
no problem.
Yeah, so I was checking out some of your music on Spotify, and I have to say, I was really impressed.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. And like I don't understand why you're not more mainstream.
Um, I think I've only been promoting recently, so that might have hurt me. I was kind of a perfectionist,
Mhm.
and I always thought just making good music would, and I don't want to be like, oh, my music is good, right? But I always thought that would be enough. But you really have to be good at the music and good at the marketing, not just good at the music.
I
And
agree.
so
And it's
I'm trying to
hard.
get better at the marketing. Yeah.
Mhm. And hopefully like I'll be putting out some stuff like templates and like tips on how, RGV creatives can really kind of push their material because I would really like to see, from now going on into the future for us to be able to put our material out there as opposed to allowing the population within the Rio Grande Valley to be influenced from the outside. I think we should do it from the inside
Yeah.
out.
Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
So today I wanted to talk to you about creativity,
Okay.
essentially. And how did you decide that you wanted to be putting your time into the creative art, which is your music, and everything else it is that you create?
Um, I mean, I think I've been doing it so long that the reasons have kind of changed throughout the years. I mean, I'm 39 now. I've been DJing since I was 16 or 17. So yeah, that's over 20 years, I guess. I think when it started, I just liked the way that a DJ could kind of control the room, and I mean, I loved music, but I also just loved, the vanity of a DJ, and the women and the attention, and just, they were the cool guy in the room, So I think that's what I wanted early on, when I when
Uh-huh.
I was less mature. And I think as I got older, then it was like, okay, well, now I've been doing this so long that I have to keep doing it. And it was, and just, wanting to make a creative statement. I guess it was still a little vain, but nowadays, I'd like to figure out a way to make my music help people a little bit more. I mean, I hope that it already does that a bit. Um, I guess now it's about expressing myself, you know.
Yeah.
So
And I
so
think like, sorry to interrupt you, but I think like as an artist, there's really almost no way to get away from that aspect of vanity
mm,
because what you're doing is like you're essentially preserving yourself in whatever it is that you create.
right.
you know?
Yeah.
And I like how honest you were about why you got started as a DJ because not a lot of people would be willing to just be like, no, I just did it for, the chicks.
Right, right. Yeah.
And
Um yeah.
I've always wanted to learn how to DJ, but I don't know that I have the mental capacity for it. So kudos to you, man.
Um, I mean, maybe some DJs are going to hate me for this, but yeah, I don't think the DJing is really nearly as hard as producing. That's where I kind of got stuck. It was like, I felt like I had kind of mastered DJing within a year or two, and then it was like, oh well, if you want to be a bigger DJ, you need to be a producer. And then 20 years later, I still feel like, I'm not that great of a producer. You know what I mean? Like, because like, yeah, to me, learning how to produce is infinitely more difficult. But I
Yeah.
might get in a little trouble for that, but that's just how I feel. So,
Hey, be honest about it, right?
yeah,
Own it,
sure.
right? Let's be about it. You know, where was I going to go with this? But how do you feel that your craft has been received here in the Valley?
Um, I mean, I think it varies, I think, it's like a lot of other things, some people don't get it, and some people really like it. Yeah, so I think it's mixed. I think if it's people that are, as long as they already like house music a little, or already like techno a little, or just if they've already got their foot in the door one way or another, then I think they're able to feel it. But yeah, if they don't like house and techno at all, yeah, I don't think I'm the person to you know change their mind about it necessarily. Those are like the greatest DJs and producers of all time, the one that can make you like the whole genre for the very first time. So
I don't know. I feel like I went on Spotify, I listened to like your top tracks that you have on there, and I was just like, I really was taken aback. I was like, why isn't this more mainstream? Like, this is the kind of music I want to listen to when I'm working on a project, like in the background. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like keeping the creative juices flowing, like keeping my flow and my rhythm going, you know, because I really think that, I mean, but this is like another thing that I find difficult is like maintaining the flow.
mm,
And how
yeah.
do you maintain the flow?
Hmm. Let's see. That's a good question. I think I've done a lot of I've done a lot of inner child work, like
Mhm.
reading books on like reconnecting with your inner child. It's like a branch of psychology kind of, or
Yeah.
John Bradshaw is one of the guys that kind of pushed that thinking. So I think the adult in you isn't really that's not where your
Creative.
creativity comes from at all. It's from the child in you that a kid will create um without any intention other than just
Hmm.
making that thing in the moment. They're not thinking about the future or legacy or any accolades or anything like that. So yeah, I think in my better moments, right? I mean, sometimes we forget,
Uh-huh.
and then you just try to force it. But I think in my better moments, it's a communication between what the kid in me wants and what the adult in me knows how to do. Um, so yeah, I
I
don't, I
love
don't
how
know.
you put that and you put it so eloquently
Well, thank
because
thank you.
this is something that I've been thinking about. Like you call it like healing your inner child, and I call it shadow work.
Mm,
And this is like where you really kind of take the time to like look at yourself as you are right now and like what hurts you and why it hurts you and going deeper within and then trying to solve that. And I'm going to be honest with you, over the last couple of weeks, I have been breaking down and just outright crying more than I ever have in my life. Um, and like I'm kind of glad that it's happening because it is allowing me to tap into my creativity more
mm.
and really embrace everything within so that way it can be expressed outward.
Yeah, I definitely think that crying, yeah, it can be very therapeutic, and once it's almost like this barrier that dissolves, and then you can get at yourself a little bit more. I wish I was able to do it more. I think like most guys, I have kind of a block. that
Yeah.
we're trained to have a block, but yeah, when you actually can, it's almost, yeah, it's like a breakthrough and a return to yourself kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
It's like it feels like I locked so much of myself away somewhere. And
mhm.
like with every single incident that happens or every like new experience, I'm getting more of myself back,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Um, and I really enjoyed the title of it's like on your landing page,
Mhm.
it's like an album that has its own link. Is it the third eye?
An album that has its own link. I mean, so I think I only have two albums. So that the first one was Lost and Found, and then the second one is Ambivalence. Yeah.
Okay, because like
And then
on your landing page, like at the very bottom, there was something that said like the third eye or opening your third eye, and that caught like my attention. Like I went to it and I was like, is this like a whole other album?
oh, wait, my landing page on Bandcamp or where was this
Instagram.
on Instagram? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember putting that there. I'm so sorry.
You're
I'll have to
fine.
look at my Instagram again. I don't.
It's
Yeah.
fine. More people get to go look at your page and find out for
Okay.
themselves now. Shameless plug.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what would you say have been some of your greatest obstacles in pushing forward in your craft?
Well, definitely, yeah. Right now, I'm still in the middle of the obstacle of just, yeah, the marketing, because it it can be enjoyable sometimes, but and you can be creative with it sometimes, but it's definitely one of those things where, yeah, if I could hand the marketing off to somebody else, I would. But yeah, and many independent artists like myself, we don't have that luxury. We don't have that option.
Yeah.
So that's an obstacle. I mean, I have a live stream that's been going since the first of the year. Setting that up and perfecting that and doing that every week has definitely been an obstacle. Um,
And where is this live stream held?
it's on Facebook. It's a Facebook Live, and it's Fridays at 10 a.m.
Oh wow. So like you just like jam and like people get to pop in and listen?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, the beats are kind of arranged like the beats are kind of arranged in advance, but then like the melodies and the harmonies and everything are made up on the fly.
Oh
So
wow.
it's kind of half prepared but half improv. So, and then I do that for an hour on Facebook Live. I'd like to
That
do it. I'd like to stream it to more platforms, because there's a software called Restream that where you can
mhm.
do, like, YouTube and Instagram and everything, and TikTok, like, all at the same time, apparently, and Facebook. But I wanted to just make sure I was comfortable just with Facebook. So I'll probably be, sometime in February, or maybe March at the latest. I'll start streaming to more different places at the same time.
Awesome. Because not everybody has Facebook. I mean, a
Right,
lot of people
right,
do,
yeah.
but
And some people hate it. I have some people that I'm friends with on Instagram. They're like, if you ever do it on Instagram, I'm there, but I hate Facebook, so I'm not going. So
like they're owned by the same like
yeah,
I mean, we'll take what we can get, right? We'll take
yeah,
what we can get.
yeah.
So, if what resources then would you like to see or that would make you spreading your material easier? Like
Oh
what would help
gosh,
you?
what resources?
Like would it
Uh,
be just kind of like tips and tricks on what time to post, how to post, like what way to do it?
hmm. I mean, right now, I'm definitely having trouble getting more people to, like, attend the live stream. So even a
Mhm.
lot of the people that are interested in my music, and they like the music, because I like push ads for my music, and they'll like those, and then they'll like my page, and then you show them the live stream, and then they're like, and I've tried, like, reworking the ad, and I get a decent number of people, but it's the, the ratio of people that see that there's the event versus the, so I haven't quite like cracked the code on that yet. So, and maybe I just need to do something more with, with my events to make the events themselves go a little more viral instead of just, a white guy bobbing his head and playing on some machinery. I've done like trippy visuals, and I've done like talking to the audience a little more, and maybe those help a little bit. I do okay.
They help a lot.
Well,
all right. So we're going to get you hooked up on ways to increase your platform, because I really think that more people should hear what it is that you're doing. Really, really.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So another question, because I'm just full of questions, you know what I mean?
That's
fine. Where would you like to see this go over the next year, the next 5 years?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely used to have like bigger dreams of traveling a lot. But I think, I really like my job as a professor now, and I wouldn't want to lose that or gamble that or give that up. I'm older, so I'm more boring and more lame, and I like the job security. But I wouldn't mind touring a little during the summers, or maybe even, we get the holidays, a pretty big chunk off during the holiday season. So if there were some, Christmas themed parties or New Year's Eve parties or something like that, that would be good. But I think I have a love-hate relationship with playing live, because there's always, the system can get overloaded, and then that's not your fault, or somebody can spill a beer on the equipment, and that's, so it is a little more stressful in a live environment. I've had, fights break out like right next to me.
Oh my gosh.
And stuff like that. So on the one hand, I hate the distance of, playing live streams, but on the other hand, I'm controlling just about everything. Yeah. So if anything goes wrong, it's, it's my fault. So I kind of like the control of that too. So, and I guess I just like more people to hear and recognize my music. I think just like most artists,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, or just a little more recognition, even if it was just, like a small cult following. I don't need to be, as big as Beyonce or anything.
Yeah, I don't want to be as big as Beyonce. I still want to be able to like go grocery shopping. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you said that you're a professor. What is it that you teach?
Yeah, I teach college writing.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
I'm a terrible writer. Please don't ever read my book.
I'm sure I've seen worse. So I probably shouldn't say that, but yeah.
Well, you're a professor. You have to read the good and the bad and the terrible. So yeah, definitely. Now I'm just going to ask you a couple more things before I let you go. So if you had to give me a ballpark number, how many streams do you want by the end of this year?
On Spotify or on Facebook? Oh, by the end of the year. I mean, considering I'm doing a live stream once a week, gosh, I don't know, 100,000.
That sounds perfect, because that's my goal for my podcast.
Oh, okay. There you go.
All right. So we have to make this 100,000 happen. For everybody that's listening, tell your friends, tell your relatives. All right. Tell your people that live in other states. We don't care. All right. We just want y'all to listen. All right. Definitely. So why music though? How do you take that jump from like writing to music?
Yeah. I definitely think when I was in my late teens, I was inspired by both. I had music that was inspiring me. And then I had a popular literature professor that inspired me, so I think, it was always kind of like, okay, I have my my dream and then my fallback, so being a
Yeah.
professor was kind of my fallback, and that's worked out well for me, so I get decent chunks of time off, and it's good benefits, good job security. People respect me when I say I teach at a college, so
Yeah. It's
um
prestigious.
yeah, so I think it's been nice, and I definitely, you know um like the faculty that I work with and the department that I work in. They're very kind, warm, mature, intelligent people for the most part. So that it's great every chance I get to see them, even if it's on a Zoom call now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and in many ways the department that I'm in, um, they were kind of my first family when I moved down here. So I'm from St. Louis originally, and yeah, so
How did you end up in the Rio Grande Valley?
the job, that's, yeah.
Really?
So yeah, it's actually not that easy for an English professor to get a job, because there's more people getting, like a master's or a PhD in English than there are jobs available. So the job market's pretty competitive. So yeah,
Oh.
once I got something, I was like, okay, and I just packed everything and moved down here. So
How long have you lived here?
yeah, about 10 years.
And how do you like it?
It's good. I think there's good and bad. I won't talk about the bad, because I don't.
I want to hear about the
No,
bad.
no, no,
I
no. We're not.
absolutely.
No, if you don't have anything nice to say, right? But no, I like the people. I think they're warm and kind. I love the food. I love the beach. I think the college that I work at, has a good balance between being serious about the things that matter, and but also, kind of laid back on certain things. And
Mhm.
um yeah, I mean, there's a sense of community in the valley. It's not always there, but when it's there, it's there. So yeah, and I said the beach already. I said the food.
Yeah. I
So
really
yeah,
like how you
the
met.
low
I'm
the low
sorry.
the low cost of living is really great
Yeah.
too. So I think, you know I think I'm, because of the economic situation in the valley. Yeah, I'm my money goes a little further. Like things are a little cheaper here than, if I had gotten a job in Chicago or something like that. So I like having more money to spend on gear and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
On all the toys.
yeah.
I really like how you mentioned community because, like, I remember growing up here in the valley. I haven't always lived here. Like, there have been times where I've lived outside of the valley and then I come back. And I remember looking at the way that the community was structured when I was a child.
Mm,
And it was so much closer. And I don't know if it's just because like the families were more tight knit back then, that sense of community was really there.
mm,
But now it's just not there. And
mm,
the ability for people to want to connect with strangers is virtually non-existent.
mm,
Like yesterday I went running and I don't take my phone with me when I go running because I like to unplug throughout the
mm,
day. And I end up spraining my ankle and I'm a mile away from my car.
mm,
And I had like three people stop. And one lady, she was like, I will sit with you. And I had my dog with me. She's like, I will sit with you, if you're okay with that, just to make sure that you're okay. And then this other couple, the other two people, were like, we'll go get your car for you and bring it to you. And
wow.
like, my ankle was on fire. I wasn't thinking straight. I just gave them the keys and I told them where it was
You're like,
parked.
that sounds good.
That sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
And they did bring my vehicle to
yeah.
me so that I could get home, but they weren't Valley natives.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
okay.
So I see what you're saying about community. And I think that at least I hope that this makes people a little bit more aware to be more kinder to the people that you don't even know, to your neighbor, because these people who I didn't even know from Adam were like able to help me when I really needed it. And I really appreciate that. And I hope that they come by this somehow so they realize how much I appreciate them, because I didn't get their numbers because obviously I was in pain.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my friends the other day on a Zoom call, and we were talking about spirituality, and he said he got his spirituality from helping others, which I thought, was really interesting, because I think a lot of people, when they think about spirituality, it's a very self-centered, kind of thing, which is, I mean, which isn't always bad, but I think you need a balance, right?
Yeah.
You don't want your spirituality to be all about other people, but you definitely don't want it to be all about yourself either. So I really liked that and got something out of that. The way that
Yeah.
his soul was elevated by helping other people, and and it seemed really sincere.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
I think, wasn't it Gandhi that said that like sometimes like we find our self and like our purpose through the service of others?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really true. And I'm glad that you mentioned spirituality, because I feel like there's like a certain level of introspection that has to occur in order for us to be able to impart that kindness, empathy, and compassion onto others at times. Because if you can't even give it to yourself, how can we expect you to give it to anybody else?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the hardest. Sometimes that's the hardest person to give it to is yourself. So.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I feel like those are certain characteristics that are lacking in the culture down here, because like just growing up basically bred to be workhorses and just to produce, and not really to kind of stop and take the time to do that self-love and self-care. And it's a reflection now in our society, the fact that that is lacking, is what I think anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely gets. I think it gets lost with some people sometime. Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So I guess there's always exceptions. It's like the yin yang.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think where I'm from in St. Louis, yeah, there was always a little more coldness. And then when I came down here, it seemed like a little less to me. So yeah, so maybe there's some of that everywhere, which is terrible.
That's
And
true.
maybe the valley is like about as good as it gets. Where did you go when you moved for a while?
I've lived in Denton, Texas. I've lived
Okay.
in Amarillo. I've lived in Vancouver, Washington. Um, I've lived outside of San Antonio.
And where did you feel like that you had the most warmth and community
It was in the
out of
smaller
all?
towns. It was
Okay.
like this is the contradiction though, because the same town that I experienced the most racism in is like the same town where I experienced like the most warmth.
That's interesting, right?
I know. And it was like
Yeah.
this, like you blink and you're in and out of that town.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because I was able to experience like someone coming to your front door when you're moving in, like they bring you a basket of goodies.
Hmm.
That was just like unheard of. But I loved it. It was beautiful. And we also lived for a time in Richmond, Kentucky.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a good experience. I remember like one weekend we were like driving around trying to find fajitas. They were like, "What are you talking about? We don't we don't do that here."
Right. Yeah, and they're like, and by the way, you're pronouncing the J wrong. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vaginas.
Right. Exactly. That's how you have to say it in Kentucky, I'm sure.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
was a good experience. And before I let you go, where can we find you? Where can people find you?
I have christopherthomasrichardson.com will take you to my Bandcamp. And then yeah, Christopher Thomas Richardson is my handle on Facebook and Instagram. That's my handle on YouTube. and then it's shorter on TikTok, but I always forget. It might just be Chris Thomas Richardson on TikTok. I'm not sure. But yeah. So those are the different places I'm at so far. So unless I'm forgetting one or two.
I mean, they'll be on your other socials, guys. Go check him out. The music's really good. I enjoy it. I'm probably going to be tuning in this Friday while I'm at work, just to kind of get that good music in my life. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for your time. And, hopefully we'll be able to collaborate and work again sometime in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.